Wieland Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, December 6, 2018 is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
Commissioner Blanova.
Here.
Commissioner Creech.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Kalis.
Here.
Commissioner Powers is here. And Chairman Rafato.
Here. Steve, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Thank you. Citizen concerns and comments? None? Okay. We have none. Consent items. Docket number SCBA 1850, Massage Envy, 701 North Milwaukee Avenue, appearance approval of a wall sign. Docket number SCBA 18-53, Coffee Sessions, 820 Wheeling Road, appearance approval of a wall sign. There it is, thank you. And docket number SCBA 18-54, World Pack, 500 Glen Avenue, appearance approval of a wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Kalis. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Kalis.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Items for review, docket number 2018-28, La Michoacana de Tocumbo, 35 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval of a sit-down restaurant. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-28, La Michoacana de Tocumbo, Incorporated lessee seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-06, Commercial Districts, Chapter 19-10, Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12, Site Plan Approval Requirements, and associated sections in order to establish a sit-down restaurant at 35 West Dundee Road, which is Zone B3, General Commercial and Office District. Standards for a special use. A zoning special use is defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning as a use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding properties that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why the request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request for a special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission Chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Steve, any comments?
Only that the staff report and the submittal materials of the petitioner are made part of the record tonight.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you please state your name and business address?
Alicio Chavez, and it's 35 West Dundee Road.
Okay, so now the floor is yours to describe what you are planning.
Okay, we want to make this into an ice cream parlor. I was told that because of the sitting, I would need to apply for a special use approval. We've just recently opened a location in Chicago, Northside Chicago. We're working in Waukegan and in the Wheeling, hopefully in the Wheeling city. And it's just a family-oriented ice cream parlor where people can pick up and leave, or they can actually sit down.
Great. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this matter? I don't think there was anybody. Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this the same establishment that's has another location in Wheeling, or is that something different?
No, this is not part of them. This is
Oh.
totally different, yes.
Okay. And for staff, the seating and the special use, what was behind that? What was the purpose behind that?
This is classified as a sit-down restaurant rather than a takeout because they do have some seats within the restaurant or within the floor plan. So as a result, the sit-down restaurant requires a special use.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Really, the only question I have is more related to the property itself. There was a picture of the trash enclosure in the back that needed to be fixed because there was a board broken off. It's looking at it right there, and then part of the exit out of the parking lot is a pretty big pothole. I just was wondering if that stuff's going to be taken care of. I know it's not necessarily related to this petition, but there is a little bit of maintenance that needs to go on with those areas of the property, I feel. So I'm just going to bring that up. And the other thing I'm going to say is too is, as we've talked about before, when they do, I know the sign is not part of this petition, but this facade's something's going to need to be done with the facade when they come back for a sign because it's distorted. The color is not the same, so something's going to need to be done with that, I feel. I think we've discussed that before. Other than that, I have no further questions.
Commissioner Blanova,
Thank you.
put your microphone down. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it, you okay with the other facilities less than a mile from you?
Yes, we are. We believe there's enough people in the area to support it, more than
Is it a
two locations.
franchise?
It's part of a franchise in a way, yes.
Got it. No, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. With the floor plan, I was just curious what the bubble part, what was that indicating? Like the cloud-looking circles?
Those are typically representative of revisions that occur from a previous plan.
Got
So
it.
that's typically an architecture's
Thank
notation.
Okay. I didn't even know to ask you. I was also curious about where the sign is going because it looks a little worn out, but that's for future. There's a requirement for dry storage. Is that what, in the plan, is that the storage? Because I was right in front of the ice cream machine, so there's a requirement for dry storage, right?
That's correct.
And do you know, had you planned on putting dry storage? Do you know that that's required?
Yeah, I mean, in the other locations, we definitely need some dry storage, yes.
Because it's a specific amount of space that you need 25% of the square footage. That's not including something or other. So just something to keep in mind that will be a requirement. Because I see machines everywhere. I just don't know exactly where you had that designated.
Have you gotten an updated, Steve, have you gotten an updated floor plan that shows the dry storage yet? I mean, we've got to have that before it goes before the village.
We have not received one to date, but it is something that ultimately will be required.
So you're aware that you need a new updated floor plan?
I wasn't aware, no, sir, no, I wasn't. I was told that this was the first step, and then they would look into the plans. That before this happened, there was no point in them even paying attention to the plans, is what I was told.
Okay.
But we'll definitely work on any changes that need to be done.
If the Plan Commission would like to see the plans updated before the village board, we can certainly work with.
Well, we have it as a condition, but I'd like to see
We have
it
it, the
done.
condition has by occupancy.
I'd like to have that done when it goes to the village board.
Would it also, with the gate in front of the trash enclosure, would a plan for that be prudent to be included as well, or is that too soon?
Yeah.
Okay. That was it. The gate, dry storage, and the sign, obviously, down the road a little bit. That was all I had. Thank you.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only question, most of my questions have been asked and answered, but the trash enclosure, is that for the whole shopping mall, or is that just for his particular unit?
That's for the whole center. It's not specific just to the unit.
So wouldn't that requirement be on the owner of the strip mall rather than the petitioner?
Correct.
Yes, that's correct.
So should we not put it as a condition?
Um,
I mean, the whole, to what Commissioner Powers said, Commissioner Creech, everybody's mentioned, and Commissioner Kalis, is that overall, the parking lot is in poor condition. And I know that's not up to the petitioner to have that as a condition on theirs, but it's an enforcement issue. So can we get enforcement out there to get these things fixed?
Yes, if the Plan Commission would like, we can pursue
Well-
enforcement to go out there and
Well,
pursue that.
In that vein, then, we're also asking for a bike rack for 2 bicycles, and I feel that the whole shopping center would benefit from a
Yeah,
bike rack.
exactly.
So I don't feel that it's fair to ask the petitioner to, provide a bike rack for 2 bicycles just for his unit.
Well, we can put that in there prior to occupancy to push that to the owner to get that done. But I agree with the other items that you mentioned, Commissioner Creech, that we can't put it on this petitioner for the sign, the facade, and also the parking lot. Those are, yeah.
Yeah, and we can follow up with that matter with property maintenance and pursue that with the owner and see if we can get some action on that.
Again, it's enforcement, and you mentioned that you'd like to, is that the Plan Commission's wishes? Yeah, it's the Plan Commission's wishes, but we want that done for all the shopping
Yes,
centers.
yes.
So,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Creech, I interrupted your.
No, that's fine. That's actually all the questions I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. That's all I had, but I would like to leave in the, as a condition prior to occupancy, that they repair that, the gate on the trash enclosure. The other items, correct, need to be done through enforcement, because there is a big pothole there. When you're done, tell me, I'll let you read the conditions. All right.
Okay. So I have condition number 1, prior to occupancy, a rack for 2 bicycles shall be added to the site. Condition number 2, prior to the village board meeting, a floor plan shall be provided that demonstrates the dry storage requirements of Title V, health and sanitation are met. And condition number 3, prior to occupancy, the trash enclosure gates shall be restored.
Thank you.
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
There a second?
Second?
We have a motion to approve docket number 2018-28 with conditions made by Commissioner Powers, seconded by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Thank you. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
You'll have something to sign.
So I don't know exactly what happened, Mr. Chairman. Was it approved or is it?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
recommend
It's
approval,
recommended.
and I'll go to the village board next.
Okay, and just to be clear, if the landlord, takes his time in taking care of these things, I will not receive occupancy?
The
Is
only
that
thing that he needs to get done is the fence around the.
Garbage.
Everything else is we're going to push to the, we're going to push through enforcement through the village, talking to the owner. That should not hold up any occupancy.
Just the fence would hold me off? Or that wouldn't either?
It could.
It could. So if I see him not taking care of it and I want to have occupancy, I should just go and do it? myself.
I'm not saying that. No.
No, we will, contact community development staff,
Yep.
Brooke or myself, and
Okay.
we'll work with you to get that taken care
All
of.
right, so
Oh, yes, sir.
you said I said, because I'll have
No,
to sign something?
You can sign something and then you can
Oh.
leave.
When do you anticipate opening? I'm kind of curious.
I'm sorry?
When do you anticipate opening?
Well, I mean, I thought I'd be open in July or August, but,
Okay.
you know, so I do want to move fairly quick
No, that's
before,
fine. I just was curious.
yes.
Thank you.
Here, sir. If you can just come up here. And just sign there. And then sign there. And this describes what you need to do, and you can take that with you, and you are free to go. Thank you. Sure. Thank you. Calling docket number 2018-29, Express Auto Title Loans, 353 North Milwaukee Avenue, special use site plan approval of a short-term lending facility. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-29, Express Auto Title Loans, contract purchaser is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wieland Municipal Code, Chapter 19-06 Commercial Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections in order to establish a short-term lending facility at 353 North Milwaukee Avenue, which is Zone B3, General Commercial and Office District. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Steve.
Yes, the only comments is that the staff report again and the submittal materials of the petitioner are made part of the record for today.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please come forward, sir. Will you be the only one speaking on this matter?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I was hoping you wouldn't say no, then I'd be really in trouble here. Could you please state your name and business address, please?
My name is Roman Zilber, and currently I'm located in 251 East Dundee Road. I've been in Wheeling for almost 20 years, and I've been serving customers for 20 years without any problems with the village or the Department of Financial Institutions or anything like that.
We're not here to question that, sir. We're just here to talk about your special use.
Oh, no.
So could you describe what you're going to be doing at this property with the special, we're talking special use here.
For current, I just want to take part of the building for now and just use it for my business because I have to move because building where I'm currently in is getting demolished, so I have to move.
Okay. And this right here is the floor plan of the total building?
Yes.
Okay. That's, so, anything more to add?
Not
Okay.
that I know if I have. I mean, I haven't
This is a
never
public
done
hearing.
it before, so.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? No. Okay. We're going to start with Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a lovely paint job they have on the building, but I assume you will be redoing that. If you could speak to a little bit of the exterior that you would like to
I would be
update.
fixing everything. That's what I'm trying kind of put something into the village of Wheeling just to make it a little bit nicer. This building been vacant for almost a year. I know it needs some repairs. They would be done depending on a weather permitting. So.
Could you explain what you mean by everything? You want to spruce up everything?
I'm gonna change. I mean, I know that the parking lot needs to be fixed up a little bit, and the building needs to be painted too. So.
Okay. And did you have any plans for the landscaping refresh? Any additions? Any trimming?
I mean, weather permitting, yes.
Okay. I mean, it looks like, yeah, we're coming right into winter, obviously, but. And then what about I assume it can be included, but the trash enclosure is in pretty rough shape. What do you?
I'm gonna be fixed it. I mean, everything is it's in the snow right now, so I can't even get there. But it's gonna be at the before the occupancy, I'm trying just to fix it up and just make it looks a little bit nicer. But the weather permitting, I want to clean it out and use it as for garbage disposal.
Okay, well, yeah, it's a requirement, but that fence is basically falling over, so I was just wondering if you had plans to replace it, fix it, anything specific, or?
I mean, if
Okay.
you suggest something, I will open to suggestions. You want me to take it down, I'll take it down, because, I mean, I have no,
Well, there needs to be an enclosure, so, and there's
so then I would
specific.
just fix it up, paint it, fix it up.
Okay. And then, so the layout, you're just using the lower left-hand, I don't know what direction that would be, but the small part, and then everything else is potential
It's a rental
rental? You don't have any plans for any of that yet at this point?
Not at this
Okay.
point.
Okey dokey. Okay, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said you were being displaced. Where are you being displaced from? You said like 250 more?
251 is Dundee Road, by Fresh Farms,
Oh, by Fresh Farms, okay.
yeah.
Like Commissioner Kayla said, I have concerns about the trash enclosure. It does need to be repaired, but the detail as to what it's going to be repaired with, I mean, normally we want to see cedar fencing with some kind of possible specs on it. I have a question for staff. Is there on file a landscaping plan for this? For this site?
Don't believe there was anything that was available that was found. There's minimal area around the site for landscaping. As the property lines are pretty much up to the parkway there, so there's very small area of actual private property for landscaping. Most of it's going to be around the sign,
Okay.
a small little hedgerow in front.
Are you the owner of this building, sir?
I was planning on it, yes.
You were, and the whole,
I'm not an owner currently, no. I'm looking
okay.
for a special use permit that I can possibly buy the building,
Right.
but I don't want to do anything until I get a special use permit. If not, I'm not going to do anything with the building. I'm going to look for something else.
Okay, because just the site in general, I mean, the landscaping, there's no kind of landscaping plan. To me, the landscaping is worn and probably needs to be replaced. So I'm kind of looking to see, what kind of landscaping is going to be there. And then some of the parking, the stops where the front tires are, there's like loose ties and stuff like that. So there's some work that needs to be done.
I mean, it's going to
And
be
the
fixed.
exterior
I'm
part
just,
of it.
I just don't have any plans because I don't want to do anything until I get I want to have something to go,
Well, I think part of the special use, I think we have to consider what's going to also happen with the site at the same time. So I'm just saying, those are some of the concerns that Commissioner Kalis has. I have the same concerns, and right now that's kind of where I stand. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. I have a question regarding advertising. The interest rate, is that going to be advertised somehow?
Currently, I mean, I've been in building for 20 years. I have never heard about this requirement, but if you want me to put something on a board, on a display somewhere, I'll gladly do it. I have nothing to hide.
Got it. God, that's all I have right now.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I too am rather curious about what your future plans are for this particular space, because this is a fairly sizable unit, and you're only taking 1,400 square feet. And the floor plan doesn't give us any information whatsoever other than it says express auto title loans in this little section. What are your plans with the rest of the building?
I'm planning to space it out and use it as a rental space. Break it down in pieces, but it's going to be depends on what I'm going to do. I'm going to submit the plans to the village for all the construction after. I'm just looking for a special use permit, just that I would be able to get the building and start doing the required permits and moving into the building.
Well, I guess, Kyle, engineering-wise, well, I have some questions about the parking lot drainage, for one. It's more than just a couple of little potholes. There's a huge cave-in. It looked like it was trenched in for a gas line that has caved in substantially. Do they have enough, big enough sewer system for, them to subdivide? And do they, I know they can bring in Poweries, and I suppose they can bring in new sewer line and all that other stuff, but it
was never really taken into consideration, seeing as we, at least when we did our review, we were under the impression that they were going to be the only owners. If they do decide to subdivide this, obviously that will have to be taken into consideration, whether their water service, sanitary service are sufficient to meet the needs of future tenant spaces. But as far, as far as what's there currently, should be sufficient for what they're intending to use it for. As far as future expansion, is kind of to be determined.
Yeah, I would,
So, well-
sorry, Commissioner Creech, didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to remind everyone that this is for just the special use of the portion of the shopping center that's going to be for the auto title loans. The rest would, if the rest of the building, if it requires a special use to come back for you, if it's permitted use, it can go in as a permitted use.
Well, the building itself doesn't even look like it's inhabitable. So, it doesn't even look like they could, do anything in there without some extensive work. So, I don't know,
But that would be addressed at prior to occupancy. That's part of getting an occupancy permit, which is, the inspections of the building code and health and life safety issues would be all for occupancy.
there's lighting and fire accessibility. They're just, I don't see how they could even drive around this building. But if he's just looking to get a special use, I guess I got no more questions.
I thought of one more question, if you don't mind. Is there a-
Let me finish
Okay.
before I go and ask general questions. So there's a couple of issues that I see. That one, you indicated that you're going to paint the building. We don't have any colors. You got to tell us what you're going to be painting, what colors it's going to be. Are you going to leave it these colors? Two, the trash enclosure. We need a plan as to what that is going to look at. We don't give out suggestions. You could probably work with staff to determine those things at what we are looking for, but we as a plan commission don't make recommendations. They're actually, probably all of our recommendations that we do are in our ordinances. There's documents.
Can I leave it as is and just fix it up?
If that's your plan, then we need to see what you're going to do. Are you going to repair that? And we don't have any of that. So that's that. And then, in addition, the landscape. A simple landscape plan as to what you're going to propose to do if you're going to, when you buy this property, and we understand that it's winter time, but to say that you're going to do something is not sufficient. We need to know what that is going to look like, so we need a landscape plan. And again, that's working with staff, and we need to see those things. And to Commissioner Creech's point, and I'm only specifically talking about your title, your special use. All you have is a big block there that says that's what this is going to be. we need to, there's how many employees are going to be there, show where desks are going to be, show where offices are going to be. That's what we get we get that when we get plans for any type of special use. If you saw the ice cream restaurant that came in here, they had a general idea of where tables and chairs were going to be, where their dry store, not the dry storage, where their refrigeration was going to be, where their bathrooms were going to be. We don't see that on this, and that's what we need. And I've got to believe that staff probably asked you for those things, but we're asking you, we demand those before we can even move forward on this from this aspect of approving a special use. We have no idea what may be done. You say that it may be done, but we don't know. You could come in and say, I'm going to paint this thing iridescent orange, and we're not going to like that. But
I know, but do I need to come in here and get a permit, and then we can determine the color?
No, you need to tell us what you're going to do with your special use. So when this special use comes before us, we need to know what color this is going to be, what you're going to do with the those are the things that we're talking about, the trash receptacle, and proposed, and I'm saying the word proposed landscape plan, because if you choose not to buy, everything is proposed. Because if you choose not to buy this property and go somewhere else, then we won't have to worry about that. Mallory, am I being clear enough? I mean, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, to come back and bring that information.
Yeah, and I think staff, you can work with staff. Now, as far as the other parts of the building, what you're going to do with those, as Mallory, our attorney, has explained, when you come back for a build-out, that's working with community development, engineering, fire, whatever, and we're not concerned with that. What we're concerned with is the special use and the exterior of the building and things that will impact this currently right now, the special use. No regard to the empty space around that, because structurally there could be issues that we're not concerned with this special use. Do you understand what we're looking for?
Yes and no, because I'm an office space. I'm currently occupy office space. I have never used to need some kind of special use permit. Why is the special use permit required for a title loan place? It's office. It's office.
Wait, hold on. Let Mallory or Steve explain.
I'm not a restaurant. I don't require any extra anything.
Sure. There are defined uses within the zoning code, such as restaurants, short-term title loan uses that, for certain reasons, require the special use process, to require the Plan Commission to go through this review, public hearing process to determine that the standards for the special use are being met. Understanding that the main component is an office use, but what you're doing with that office by our zoning code requires the special use. So that is why we have to go through this. It's not because of the building, it's not because of the name on the name of the operation, it's because of the use that you plan to do within that building. That is what requires a special use.
Okay. So what do you want me to do?
What we'll do is we'll follow up with you, well, depending on what happens here, it sounds like the Plan Commission requires this additional information. So what we'll do is we'll follow up with you to outline all the items that we need to have provided to us to return to the Plan Commission for their review of that additional information so they can make a complete assessment of the proposal.
So what needs to be done based off landscaping? I mean, the current landscaping is there. It's been there for 30 years.
Does the Plan Commission have any specific direction, or
It needs to be updated.
It's tired and old, I think.
Yeah, it's tired and old. You said it's been there for 30 years. It needs to be updated. It's on a major thoroughfare, and granted, there's not a lot of space, but use some creativity and work with somebody that can help you with that, and to see a plan, and it doesn't have to go in prior to occupancy. We just needed to have a plan in place that in the springtime, we know that this is going to be changed and updated with this plan. That's what we're looking for.
And the plan would indicate where the plantings would be and what type of plantings.
Right, exactly. We have examples, I think in one of our documents, we have examples of landscape plans. That landscape plans that have come before us have been simple, handwritten, depicting the area and plant A here, plant B here, plant C here. That's what we're looking for. We don't expect you to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a landscape plan. Work with someone that might know something about landscaping and present something to us. But we have no idea what you can do. Okay, I'm definitely not a landscaper. And then as far as trash enclosure goes, we have some standards that planning can help you put together something for that area. And then, what do they call it? Color templates, color palettes, thank you. Color palettes of how you're gonna paint this, what colors you're going to do. Are you gonna just take it and make it all white? Whatever, we need to know that. We need to know that, so as a special use, it's all tied in a nice little bow, so you can present that to us.
Okay. Can it be done before the village meeting or
No, it
village
has to
board?
be done before the
Village
village.
board, okay.
You've got to come before us, we have to vote on it, then it goes before the village board. Okay,
I have to be out of the building by December 31st.
There's
Is there
a,
anything that can be done before that?
you're going to have to work with staff.
yeah, there's a December 20th Plan Commission meeting. But if we make the December 20th Plan Commission meeting, then we are looking at the January Village Board meeting then.
Yeah, the January 7th.
Yes.
Yep.
So we can,
You're going to have to work with staff to get a date for that, because in order for it to come before the village, before Plan Commission meeting, well, as it is right now, the earliest that you can get to the village board is January 7th. That's the earliest, if you can get back to us for the meeting on the 20th, and there are certain dates that have to be met for the planning, community development. So have you written up anything, Steve? I'm sorry, but
yeah.
Commissioner Kalis, you had a
I was
comment?
just kind of whatever, but would bollards be required in front of these glass plate windows if you're talking about all the plans that need to be included? I mean, it's icing on top of the cake now, but if he's making plans,
a million things.
anyway, staff, I'm sure you will recommend anything that's required.
we can work with engineering, since there isn't parking abutting that entrance or that building elevation there.
Okay, so it's with
It's
parking
not
spots, not
as-
drive-throughs,
right,
okay.
yeah,
Got it,
so-
okay, that's all.
That's the least of his worries.
I know, but I just,
I have a list of,
Why don't you read them off?
that, so the items that we have is to provide color scheme for the building. Then we have proposed plan of how to repair or fix the trash enclosure area and fencing. Then we have providing a landscape plan to update the landscaping on the site. And then provide an internal floor plan for the office space associated with the title loan
Yep.
use.
Yes. And also, since you might as well add, no, that's fine, okay.
Okay?
So this is a motion to continue, Mallory,
Yes.
we need a date certain, right?
Yes. I mean, you could do the 20th, and then if
Right,
somebody's
okay.
ready, we can always continue it.
Let's make a motion to continue to December 20th.
So moved.
second,
Who made the second?
Kalis?
Motion by Commissioner Powers, seconded by Commissioner Kalis. Do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Kalis?
Yes?
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
No.
And Chairman Nafato?
Yes. So I would recommend that you call Steve tomorrow morning. Why don't you print that out for him?
Actually, don't have these in printable form. What we'll do is we'll follow up with him tomorrow.
Okay.
In a more formal format for.
This? Okay.
And all historical packets are on the website if you want to go look for examples of what we're looking for, just
And
as
then
a tip.
we can provide some examples.
Yeah, they'll provide some examples.
Yes.
Thank you, but contact them tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Docket number PC 18-18, Wieland Metals, 567 Northgate Parkway, minor change to approved building elevations. Steve?
Again, the staff report and the submittal materials by the petitioner are made part of the public record tonight.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please come forward.
And we are having some technical difficulties on the materials. I don't see it in there. Let me see if it's not in there. It should have been. You can go ahead. We'll figure this out. That's not it. No, I don't know where it went.
Is it at the end?
No.
Well, as he's searching, can you explain what you are looking to do? Please give your names, please.
Charles Reister, Grunt and Reister Architects, 20 North Wacker Drive, Chicago, Illinois.
Great, thank you. And sir?
Frank Billmeyer, I'm the maintenance manager at Wieland here in Wheeling, 567 Northgate Park.
Thank you. So can you explain what you are
Yeah,
proposing changes?
we have approval from this body previously, and we got a building permit for the city. And looking at renderings of the facades, we, with ownership, want to change the color from cream to gray. And I was hoping we have pass out these. I think we submitted these. These are the gray. I don't know why. It's a new building. We believe that it would be a nice-looking building with the light gray next to the cream buildings. It's a separate building totally. And so we're requesting, we talked to staff, and we had to come before you for a change color. So we would like to change it to light gray.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Everything else, we did some bigger windows on the office building here. The masonry remains the same. Everything remains the same, except that we opened up the office area a little bit, and we want to change the siding color.
So besides the color, you've changed the size of the windows?
In the office area, if you look on the previous rendering, there, see the larger openings in the windows?
Okay.
We had punched openings before. We were trying to, there was a budget to the project, and we found some money to enlarge the windows of the office to make it more open there, to make it more inviting inside, so.
Okay. Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Simple changes. I don't have any issues with anything. You're making it look better. Thank you.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you very much. I agree. The gray looks better in my opinion. Do you have plans to match the color of the other building in the future?
Presently, we do not.
Okay. And did you update your logo? Because in one, okay.
We did.
The old building has like an older,
Yes,
okay.
there's a worldwide logo change.
I'm sure that was thrilling for you. Okay. And this isn't design review by any means. I was just,
Yeah.
okay. I just,
Yep.
because this rendering shows your new logo on both. The other one is
Yes.
the old logo. So, okay. I like the new color. Windows bigger is better for people, I imagine. So, good here. Thank you.
Commissioner Powers.
I'm fine with this, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Blanova?
Thank you, I don't see any issues with that.
Okay, thanks. Steve Mallory, do we need to worry about the, do we need to add something about the increase in size of the windows, or is that? Oh, we do have it here.
Yeah, the motion.
It is in there?
does, yes,
Okay, cool.
yes.
I didn't see that before. Just wanted to make sure
Okay, yep.
that it's there. Okay. I have no problems. It does seem odd that you're changing the colors, but it is a separate building, and it shouldn't be any issues. So do I hear a motion?
So move.
You want to read the condition out for the
Just
record,
kidding.
please?
Oh, was there a condition?
There's no,
Oh,
were-
it's not,
There were no
oh,
conditions.
it wasn't a condition?
just subject to,
Beautiful.
subject to the.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yep. Not-
Second.
Okay?
Motion by Commissioner Kalis, second by Commissioner Creech. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Kalis.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes,
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Thank you. You'll have something to sign. And
There's no sheet, it's not a public hearing, it's a design, minor design change.
Okay, we normally do those, so next time.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you're good to go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
normally do them for.
Okay, I double checked, but, okay, I'll double check with Brooke on that, because I had asked.
So she gave you.
She did,
That's no problem. Okay. Docket number 2008. You ready, Steve?
Yes.
Tell me if you're not.
No, I'm good, we're ready.
Docket number 2018-24A and B, remanded back to Plan Commission from November 5th, 2018. Village Board, Auto Car Imports, 170 Shepard Avenue. 2018-24A, zoning variation, reduce the required parking. 2018-24B, special use site plan approval for a light motor vehicle repair facility. Steve, any additional items? And we're going to reopen this, even once Steve is
Yes.
done, we're going to reopen this.
Yeah, just a real brief introduction as to why this is returned. This item, the two items, the special use and the parking variance, received a tie vote from the Plan Commission at the October 25th meeting. It was then forwarded to the November 5th Village Board meeting. At the Village Board meeting, there was presentation of additional materials or additional evidence by the petitioner. So in fairness to the Plan Commission, the Village Board had requested this item come back in front of the Plan Commission to fully consider the additional material and allow the petitioner to present that information to the Plan Commission, allow for any further public comment. As before, the report and the submittal materials made by the petitioner tonight are part of the public record.
Great, thank
And then we
you.
do need a motion to
Right.
reopen the public.
So I need a motion to reopen the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
second.
A motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Blanova. Please take a roll.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis.
Yes.
Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Petitioners are here. You are still under oath, so if you could please state your names again and business addresses.
Steve Vago, 1801 Holst Road in Northbrook currently.
Okay, great.
Patty Cantori, 1801 Holst.
Okay, great. So the new information, please explain to us what the new information is.
So I went,
If you could talk into the microphone
Sorry.
up a little bit, thank you.
I went as far as trying to figure out a way to make the variation work, be able to come to Wieland to open the business. So I started researching different properties to see if I could find a secondary location, which I had previously, but I found an enclosed property that's really close to Shepard, and I was able to lease it. And it's 8,000 square feet inside, no outside parking, and that's just an open warehouse. It is sprinklered, fire protected, everything. And it would have separate insurance to cover what's necessary for the village.
Could you also briefly explain about the fleet vehicles and how much, I know you mentioned that there was about approximately 20% of the vehicles you repair the fleet. That was some additional information that was also presented at the board, was clarification on how much of their customers are of fleet vehicles. And that is correct, it's the 20%.
That is correct, approximately 20%.
Yeah, okay.
You want to explain what that means to us? 20%.
If you could just explain like what vehicles are part of the
When fleet vehicles come in,
compared to the.
they're a short time. They can't be held, like if I was doing an older vehicle that's waiting for parts. So most of the fleet vehicles that come in are 3 to 4 years old, max maybe 5 or 6 years old. So they're not going to sit on the outside. They come in, they get repaired, they leave. At max, they stay there a couple days. The purpose of having that second location is for the parking variance.
Thank you. Is that all you have, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. There are two folks that want to speak on this. David, is it Martyr? Please come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
And again, state your name and address.
David Martyr, 419 Harvester Court in
Yes.
Wheeling.
And you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to say we are open to leasing the property to Steve for the parking variation.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Thank you. And then Mark? Hi there. Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony given tonight to be the truth?
Yes, sir.
And state your name and address, please.
Mark Lacasio, 100 Burlington Court, Wheeling. And I just want to come in, sir, and say, good evening, Commissioners. I've just known Steve for 15 years. I just wanted to come here to support him because he's a super businessman. He's worked on all my cars. He's helped me tremendously, and I just wanted to come here and help him out however I could.
Great. Thank you,
He's
sir.
a great addition to the village, I think.
Thank you. So we'll start with Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you tell me the Harvester Court location, how far is that from the Shepard location?
Roughly about a mile.
About a mile?
I never did exact.
1.4 miles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just looked it up, because the
Okay.
tracks go
I
through.
was
so you-
trying to find a location that was,
No, that's fine. And with the inclusion of this new building, has not that I guess we concern you, last time you were here, you had all these parking spots laid out in the inside of the building. Is that everything in the building, the way you had it laid out, is staying the same, and you just purchased this additional property to hold additional vehicles?
being able to lease this large of a property, and David's working with me, that's, to be fair, that gives me a lot more room. So it would work out a lot easier, because I won't have to keep certain cars that are waiting for parts on Shepard. I can just travel them to Harvester, and when I have the parts, I can bring them back to Shepard.
So you're not changing like the location of the lifts and everything, all that's staying the same, and
Yep.
whereas before you kind of had to figure out additional parking in the inside where, we had concerns about the width of parking space and all that, that's pretty much taken out of the equation now with the possible inclusion of a new building?
Still the same.
Still the same, or is everything still the same? Yeah, everything everything that came before us the first time, everything's the same there, and we're just adding another building for additional parking. Is that what we're talking about here?
That is correct.
Okay.
Vehicle storage, Brooke had placed that interior kind of towards the center of the building there. We had changed that from, I'm not sure what Brooke had it before, but she changed it to a vehicle storage.
Okay. And you're,
What it became. So, and that benefits the parking variance.
Okay, and you're currently not owners of that, the Shepard building,
We
correct?
are not, that's
You are not.
correct.
Shepard, I'm renting to own.
Okay, I have nothing else right now.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this new exhibit received November 26th with the floor, which is, are we talking about, okay, let me rephrase this. What's the variation again for the parking?
It's for parking deficiency for,
How many spots?
yes, that is for, let me find that here. 32 spaces.
So there are 32 spots deficient.
Yes.
Is that including this existing parking 25 and 26?
Yes.
Did we approve those 2 parking spots?
Subject to, those were subject to let me get to that point here. They'd be subject to fire lane requirements.
I thought we determined last time that those would not be allowed because they weren't big enough. And they're right in front of the doors. They would possibly obstruct the doors.
25 and 26?
Yes.
I think those were different ones.
Yeah, those were.
We did allow
Ron,
those.
did we determine that we talked about having a standard parking size of 20 feet? Now, I went over there and measured, and they don't have 20 feet. So,
Yeah, I think the discussion last time was more the parking spaces near further to the front
to
of
the
the
top.
building.
right. Those are 25 and 26.
And I know those spaces, I do not know the size, but there is, if they're not 20 feet, they need to adjust them for the spacing as well as to maintain the exit
Well, they don't
from the building.
they don't have the space between the doors. So they might be able to get one that could go a little further towards Shepard, but they can't get the one between the doors
Those are the two.
because it's not 20 feet.
Those are the 2 that we spoke of that were pre-existing already.
Well, and we discussed that last time. It's not really clear if they're pre-existing based on looking at all the GIS aerial information available for the last 15, 20 years in the village. Although I will agree, there is some indication of some paint striping on the ground, but there's nothing that's real clear. But again, if the petitioner is getting the available space in the other building, I guess is it a moot point about these 2 spots here?
Well, I'm just trying to determine because in my packet, it's,
If we approve it, then they're approved.
if we're approving these 2 spaces.
Commissioner Creech, the condition for the parking variance was that the variation may be increased by 1 stall if, in order to meet the fire lane requirements. So if 25 and 26 had to be reduced to 1 space, then the variance would be increased by 1 space for the loss of that one. So that was what was conditioned by, that was incorporated into the tied vote last time.
Okay, the new space that we have on Harvester. How many parking spots do we have at Harvester?
We did not receive any data on that, and staff did not do any assessment on that for the sheer purpose of the fact that the variance on the site is still required. So by a variance standpoint, the off-site parking doesn't reduce the variance in any way from a technical code standpoint.
Agreed. But we're giving them a variance for parking on Shepard. They're renting a place on Harvester. We don't know how many parking spots are on Harvester. We don't even have a floor plan for Harvester, although they're telling us that it's inside parking, we don't even know how many inside parking spots are available.
We're going to be
Yeah,
using,
I know it's 1.4 miles from Shepard to Harvester, but you have to drive down Glen, I believe, to go to Hinch, to drive over to Wieland, to drive north again to Harvester, and then west to your spot.
we're using 15 car spots inside the building for 8,000 square feet. I'm not looking to make.
But we're trying to replace 33 parking spots,
Mr.
so
Creech,
we don't have
point-
enough.
The point of it is to relieve a lot of the parking on Shepard to be,
I understand you're working very hard, but we're trying to get a variation for one building for parking, and you're bringing us a parking facility that's 1.5 miles away approximately. And even if we write into our agreement that you have to keep a lease for this property, we're still defeating the purpose because we're not replacing enough parking spots for what you need.
but what I'm trying to explain is we're going to be relieving a lot of spots on Shepard because of the fact that we're taking advantage of a secondary parking. Rather than having it outside where it's exposed to people, making it look terrible, I purposely look for an enclosed building to put cars inside, not park them outside, and that'll relieve parking from Shepard. So if there's cars that are coming in for general service every day, it's turning every day. Whatever cars are waiting for parts, they go to Harvester. So it's not going to be something where I'm going to be going there every single day, 10 times a day.
For the Plan Commission and the audience, I do want to make a clarification. The 32 variance was based on the old previous floor plans. Following the October 25th discussion and that lengthy discussion we had that night, what the revised number was the variance to reduce the parking from 42 required to 14, which consists of 28 parking stall variance, rather than the 32 I mentioned earlier. So I apologize for that incorrection.
28 instead of 32.
If I can interrupt here, Commissioner Creech, the reason why it was brought back to us is because of this lease agreement. It doesn't change anything around the variation. They still need a variation of 28 parking stalls with the conditions of those two still being increased or decreased. The piece of property that they've signed a lease for doesn't impact this, and they can, however, now I'm not sure, do we have a use for indoor parking that needs to come before us? That if they're leasing
Yeah,
it?
is that building, do we have to give a variation on that building to park cars inside that building? I don't know anything about that building.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we could even put these two together in this regard. And I know that you're looking for parking relief, but I just don't understand. I don't have enough information about this building to make a decision.
If you do have questions, this is why David is here. He is the owner of the building.
It's not.
Do you have a floor plan?
It's an open space. There's no floor plan to be had.
People come before us and tell us a lot of things, and I believe it's an open it's an open building. But there has to be an office, there has to be toilets, there has to be storage. I don't know how much parking is on the outside of that building, if there's any at all. Because when I drove over there, it looks like there's maybe 4 parking spots on the outside of the building, and there's none in front.
We're not using outside parking at all.
You're renting the whole building, right?
We're renting the portion of the inside of the building just for 15 spots. And I understand what you're requesting, and I have no problem getting a diagram within the building. I can ask David to provide one to me.
Well, that would have been nice to have. I'm sorry, I can't make a decision on this building without seeing what's going on and where you're going to park, how many spots there's going to be there, and then you're still telling me that you're going to have less parking spots than the relief you're asking.
Well, we still
Not
need
that
a
necessarily
parking
makes a difference, but
That doesn't make a difference because they still need the parking variation.
Right, the use of the off-site parking is more going into the standards and how they feel they can meet the standards of the variation, of still needing the variation on the property. So that's how it comes into play.
I mean, I'm trying everything I can, Mr. Creech, and I'm not here to upset you, I'm just trying to, I'm trying to employ 8 people and keep a business going that's been around 50 years. If it meant for me to lease another piece
You've been
of
trying
property-
very hard, but I've been trying very hard to wrap my brain around giving this relief.
Agreed. I'm just, I don't know how many other people are doing it, really doesn't matter. I'm really trying to come to Wheeling to run my business. It's a great area to run it, and I'm trying
It would have really helped if I would have had more information about this building.
I would have no problem doing that, and no one requested that from us, so I should have did it on my own, but I didn't think about that. Because it's just really an empty box. There's nothing in there but a couple offices, 2 restrooms. It's just a normal 8,000 square foot building. But we're not using it for any form of business other than keeping like overflow of cars.
See, I don't even know if that building is zoned for what you're wanting to use it for.
That we did check on it, it is, because it's storage. It's not being.
Well, see, I haven't gotten that information.
We did send it ahead to planning,
Well,
with, I believe, Steve had.
Yes, the zoning of the building, the off-site building is zoned to allow for interior storage. If it were exterior, it'd be another situation, but internal storage, since it's a industrial zone property, does permit that.
It's a permitted use, correct?
Correct.
So it's a permitted use, so they wouldn't come before us anyway
Correct.
if they lease the property just for internal storage.
Correct.
Okay, well, that clears, well,
So-
Commissioner Creech, go ahead.
Our code doesn't have a difference between dry storage and automobiles that have gas and oil and everything else?
No, it would have to comply with occupancy requirements of fire. If there's a change in classification in the occupancy, they would have to seek that new occupancy, and if
Well,
they're-
again, I haven't gotten any of that information.
That would be.
I don't know anything about that building. I haven't seen the floor plan.
That would typically be assessed at permit and occupancy review rather than part of the special use.
But you're asking for a variation on another building, and you're using this building.
There's no variation on the new building on Harvester. It's a permitted
Correct.
use, it's a permitted use. The petitioners have come before us to
And there's
say-
no outside storage allowed at that building, correct?
I don't know if there's any existing special use on the 419 Harvester Court that
Okay,
would
again.
allow it or not, no. I
Again.
don't know that off the hand.
We would be more than willing to put that in as a contingency of no outside storage for us at 419 Harvester. That is not an issue. We plan on 0 outside parking for our business at that location. And we would not have an issue at all to put that in with the special use permit.
I have nothing further.
Commissioner Kalis?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Blanova?
No, sir, I have no questions.
So, just to be clear, you're, and I've said this, you are coming back to us to say, hey, we've leased property. It's going to give us some relief. You've got spots for how many cars in there in your newest?
Just 15.
15 cars. So we can't reduce the parking variation. It still has to be there because I have a concern about,
I mean, I don't have a problem asking the owner of the building to request more. It's a large building, 15 cars wouldn't even really do even half of the building. I'm just trying to work with something somehow or another to get my business open.
understand, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of you still need a variation of 28. And I don't see any change. It doesn't, doesn't give us any relief. And again, I'm going to say we're going to set up, and we can't control your lease, that, and I think it said
I'll
that.
be honest with you, I didn't realize walking into this, it was gonna be this way. Now, I'm in a position where I'm literally out of the building I'm in right now. That was told to me last Friday. So, and that's not your problem. I'm just saying, I have gone over, which is my problem, and found a person that's willing to work with me to have indoor storage, not outside. It is sprinklered. It's just an open box. I'm not working out of there, it's just in and out of cars. And I think by having Harvester, that would definitely, basically my parking lot in Shepard would look like a ghost town. Because I'm not here to store cars, I'm here to fix cars.
Understand. The unfortunate piece of this is that we can't use those numbers for, we can't use those numbers to reduce your parking variation. We can't control your lease agreement. You could technically, what is it? It's a 6-month, did I read somewhere where it's?
Renewal, yeah.
That's another reason why we brought Mr.
6
Martyrs.
month,
He's willing to extend it.
So, but,
We do have a proposed condition regarding the lease.
yeah, the current lease agreement would be effective for the entirety of the light motor vehicle repair facility operated by Auto Car Imports.
They'd have to keep a lease in place in order to keep
And,
this.
and we're gonna check that every year to make sure that that's in place. That's, I have an issue with the enforcement of it. I don't know how
We can make a note in
we
the
can.
business license file to ask for a copy
We
of
have-
that at the time
okay.
of business license renewal.
All right,
I mean, if the special use needs to be renewed every year and it's conditioned based on parking, I have no problem with that, I'll pay for it. I just don't know what more, I understand, Mr. Creech, believe me, I just didn't think I wasn't thinking.
How long is a special use permit valid in Wheeling?
so,
It's valid
Until
as
you
long
change.
as long as you are in business with a valid business license and occupancy, and that you comply with whatever conditions.
Okay.
of
Well,
the
we want to
special
own the
use.
building, so we want to be here for a long time.
Yeah. So a business license has to be renewed, and that's where the village attorney was saying that it could be tied to the business license and
I have no
going
problem
through-
with that.
going through that check.
and I think the condition in there specifically says that, so. Does anybody else have any other comments? As far as the site plan or layout of the other building, if it's a permitted use and that's been investigated, I don't think we need to have a floor plan of that. It's an open space. You know, we might want to add a condition that there will be no outside parking at that other site. But if it's permitted use, I don't know how we can control that. Mallory, is that something that we can control?
I mean, we could add it as a condition for, it's just, the only problem with adding it as a condition is that it's not the property before you, and they could arguably, without knowing, be allowed to do outdoor storage within the confines of the code, or a different user could. So you'd only have to put in language that this specific user couldn't have
Yep.
outdoor storage at that location.
I'd like to see that.
Okay,
Did you get that, Steve?
sorry. A little circular,
Again, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
thinking it through as I went.
again, we're talking about enforcement again of an issue. And we keep on going back to that same thing. Well, we can enforce it. We can enforce it. Well, we can enforce it, but it's very difficult to enforce it when people are already established in the place. And you know how difficult it is and how many loopholes we have to go through and be nice and write tickets, and, you know, then if they still give us a hard time, we have to take them to court, and, you know, enforcement seems to be a problem. And we don't need to put any more burden on the village for any more enforcements for violations. Little as they may seem for some people, but to a next door neighbor, it's a big deal. That's all I got.
Thank you. I I agree, but they're going to have it in their business license, and,
You still got to enforce it,
yep. Understood that.
and we're overburdened now.
Understand that, too. Steve, are you ready to say what we have there? We've got the two conditions. I mean, one condition right now, right?
So for the parking variation, there is the previous condition that was included in the previous Plan Commission recommendation of condition number 1, that the parking variation may be increased by 1 stall in order to meet the fire department fire lane requirements. That was from previous. Condition number 2, there shall be no outside parking or storage at the property located at 419 Harvester Court, and such conditions shall only apply to auto cars imports.
Okay, and then did you add the condition about the current lease agreement?
Yes, that's on the special use.
That's on the special.
Right, so the special use would read that condition number 1 as a carryover from the last Plan Commission recommendation, the parking stalls on the east side of the building shall be removed if they obstruct existing utilities, or exiting or utilities. And number 2, the current garage lease agreement shall be effective for the entirety of the light motor vehicle repair facility operated by Auto Car Imports. If the current garage lease agreement expires or is terminated, the petitioner shall obtain the rights to utilize parking at another property location, and a copy of the agreement shall be provided to community development.
Okay. I just couldn't see the lease agreement one. That's
it's
that
all
one right
broken
there.
up,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. No. Okay, I think we've probably discussed this. So, do we have a motion? So do we have to approve both of these? Do we have to vote on both of these again?
Yes.
Okay, so docket number 2018-24A, zoning variation to reduce the required parking. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Blanova, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Creech.
Nope.
Commissioner Kalis.
No.
Okay, Chairman Raffato.
No. Docket number 2018-24B, special use site plan approval for a light motor vehicle repair facility.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Nope.
Commissioner Kalis.
No.
And Chairman Raffato.
No. So again, as the last time, it's the same, it's considered a no vote from the Plan Commission, and you go right back to the village board meeting, which will be a date certain, probably
Yes, December 17th.
December 17th, so in a week from Monday. You'll have something to sign, so you have that, and thank you.
Let me clear this here. Okay. So we got 3 to 2. Okay.
Do you have a pen?
Yeah.
This is 24B.
Those other ones come out?
I have B. No, they're coming up.
They're thinking, it's thinking.
Oh, those are signed, I'm sorry.
We'll just add those on top there. We can use that again. All right, thank you.
And
We'll
you
be-
get a
follow-
one
Yeah,
copy
you get
of
these
one.
two here.
One of those. Thank you, sir.
Have a good evening.
Yep. Approval of minutes, November 18th, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes, November 15th. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You know, it's only been a month. We're out of sync here. Okay, other business. Steve, do you have any other business?
No business to report from staff.
Great. Tatiana, anything?
I have nothing, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers?
Two Steves makes it tough, but I have nothing. 'Cause you say Steve, and it's like, I want to say something.
There were three. His name was Steve too, right?
Yeah.
Dishner.
Commissioner Creech?
Have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kalis?
Nothing here, thank you.
Since Terry is here, it just reminded me the Santa's is still open this weekend, correct? This is the last weekend, so please go there. It's a wonderful thing. And Brooke is not here tonight, and she won't be at any of our meetings. We wish her the best. And so Brooke, watch this meeting tomorrow. We wish you the best. And I'm going to give Steve a card from the Plan Commission to give to Brooke.
Will do.
And I'll be checking with her tomorrow, make sure she gets that.
I will.
And Steve, welcome. Hopefully it wasn't, was this your second meeting or first meeting?
This is my
Second or third?
at least third.
Third, wow, how time flies.
Yes.
At least for a third, yeah.
And I will say that Brooke will come back eventually, we hope.
Maybe. Okay. Mallory, anything?
No.
Thank you.
Did you
And
get
we
that
do
as
have
a
a meeting
condition?
on December 20th.
Writing?
And it's important, you know, we've got 5 right now. Don gave prior notice, but it's important. We need to have a minimum of 5 here. So if you're not going to be here, especially if it's a public hearing, we need 5 here or else it's not a meeting. It's not a meeting. So with that said, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.